Well, I had to write mine because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to just extemporize like you do. Louder. Okay, is this louder?
Yeah.
Okay, first, Chris and I would like to thank all of you for making the effort to travel this beautiful place, many from across the country, some as far away as India, Japan, and China, to celebrate Divia and Will's lifelong commitment to each other. Last night at the rehearsal dinner, I heard Will say that he had an extremely unrealistic list enumerating the qualities he wanted in a wife. He said he was blown away when he met Divia, who met all of his stringent qualifications. As the mother of the bride, I can't help feeling enormous relief that Divia has found a soulmate who fulfills all of my equally difficult requirements for any man who presented himself as a suitor to my only daughter. Divia grew up as the adored younger sister of two older brothers, both of whom played very important roles in her life. In fact, you could say that Anil was largely responsible for her existence. He was 5 years old when he asked about the little pink pills I took every morning. Oh, that's so I don't have any more babies, I answered absent-mindedly. The next morning, the pill box had vanished. I took it as a sign, try for one more child. When the midwife called to say I was carrying a healthy girl, Anil and I danced the dance of joy around the apartment. Chashi, her older brother, was another huge influence. From him, she caught the computer bug. While other girls her age were occupied with dolls and coloring books, Divia spent hours playing fantasy adventure games on the Commodore 64. Part of the reason I sent Divia to Spence was to mitigate the impact of the Wild West atmosphere at home. I imagined that after 13 years at an all-girls school, Divia would emerge a proper young lady. Imagine my mortification at my first parent-teacher conference in kindergarten when Mrs. Weinberger showed me Divia's journal. Her spelling was erratic, but the most recent journal entry was clearly legible. Last weekend, I played with my brothers. I like to wrestle with them, but I don't like the headbutts and the body slams. Divia has always been inquisitive, eager to dig beneath the surface. One of my favorite report cards was from her 10th grade chemistry teacher, in which the teacher complained that Divia was always confusing her classmates by interrupting the lesson with questions that could only be answered by top scientists in the field. Does any mother want her little girl to grow up and leave home? I know I didn't, but she moved to another city to go to college. She managed to figure out the Boston subway system, make a whole new group of friends, and pursue a concentration in the largely male atmosphere of computer science. After a stint back home working for Carolina's mom, Divia decided to move on to California to work on a computer startup with Sheena and Shortcut. I didn't know what that was, but I did sense that California was as far away as she could go without crossing an ocean. My little girl was really leaving home this time. Still, I didn't believe it. In fact, this is my first trip out here because I was sure California was just a temporary phase. So here she is, my little girl, all grown up, married to Will. I once gave her a piece of advice on the subject of marriage. I told her my recipe for a successful marriage is to marry someone you're in love with, but also one who will be your best friend forever. I like to think she took my advice, but it could be she's smart enough to have figured that one out on her own. Chris and I will fly back east tomorrow, but we'll be back soon. After all, you never know. One of these days, Div may surprise us with a grandchild. Let's raise a glass to my little girl on what looks like the happiest day of her life. Yay.
All right, now we would like to close the toast out with Will's mom. This is Cynthia White. Please give her a nice round of applause.
I'm a crier, so beware if I can get through the whole thing. I'm just going to tell you what I think about William and then Divia. William, when he was 2.5 years old, I took him out to ski at Park City, and when I picked him up from his ski lesson, because although he was so young, they put him in with a private instructor because he was